On a stormy night in a forgotten town, Eli Monroe, a struggling mechanic, discovers a terrified girl chained and left for dead in the rain. What he doesn't know is that she's Nora Winthrop, the missing heiress to a billion-dollar empire, running from her family's darkest secrets. The rain came down like bullets, drumming on the rusted tin roofs of Crescent Hollow's auto district. Eli Monroe, a 28-year-old mechanic scraping by on patch-up jobs, had just locked up his garage when he heard it. A faint cry beneath the howl of the wind. Curious and concerned, he grabbed a flashlight and made his way down the alley behind his shop. There, illuminated by flickering streetlights and his beam, was a young woman, barefoot, soaked, and chained to a rusted iron pole behind an abandoned storage facility. Her wrists were red and raw from the metal cuffs, her long brunette hair plastered to her pale face. "Please, help me," she whispered, her voice brittle as glass. Eli's heart lurched. "Hold on. I'm gonna get you out of here," he said, already digging through his belt pouch for tools. The woman flinched at every sound. "No cops," she gasped. "They'll find me. Please, just don't tell anyone." Eli didn't ask questions. He freed her, wrapped his jacket around her, and carried her through the rain back to his small garage apartment. The storm raged on, but he knew something far darker than weather had chained this girl outside tonight. Eli laid her gently on the cot in his loft above the garage. She shivered uncontrollably, murmuring in her sleep. He got her into dry clothes, an old hoodie and sweatpants, and made some instant soup. When she finally stirred, her wide hazel eyes locked onto his. "My name's Eli. You're safe now." She didn't speak at first. Then, hesitantly, she whispered, "Call me Nora. No last name, no details, just Nora. I can take you to a hospital or something. You need help." "No hospitals, no police, please," she said, voice trembling. Eli nodded. He had seen enough pain in his own life not to pry. "Okay, you stay here. Get some rest. Nobody'll find you here." As Nora curled up under the blanket, Eli watched her, knowing deep down this girl wasn't just running from danger, she was running from something much bigger. Over the next few days, Nora slowly regained her strength. She was intelligent, cautious, and constantly watching the windows. Eli kept her presence a secret from his nosy neighbors and the occasional customer. He offered no questions, and she offered no answers, until one morning when the news blared a report. Local billionaire philanthropist Charles Winthrop has passed away under mysterious circumstances. His daughter, Lenora Winthrop, heir to the Winthrop fortune, is still missing. Eli turned to look at Nora. Her face was pale, hands clenched. "That's you, isn't it?" he asked quietly. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Yes, but if they know I'm alive, they'll finish what they started." Eli sat beside her, shocked. The girl in his bed wasn't just a runaway, she was the only heir to a billion-dollar legacy. Eli learned more in the following hours than he ever had in his life. Lenora, or Nora as she preferred, explained the truth. After her father died under suspicious circumstances, her brother Camden took over the family business. But she had seen things, documents, secret dealings, and one particular file on a USB drive her father had hidden before his death. "They want it," she said. "That drive could destroy them. That's why Camden had me locked away." Eli, though overwhelmed, listened with the focus of a man who'd once rebuilt an entire truck engine by hand. "Where's the drive now?" "In my father's old observatory," she said. "But it'll be guarded." Despite the risks, Eli knew one thing: he couldn't let Nora do this alone. They planned for 2 days. Eli found a set of dark clothes for them both and drew out the old floor plan of the observatory, which had been converted into a private archive by the Winthrop family. Nora's memory was sharp. She knew exactly where her father would have hidden something important. Under the cover of night, they drove Eli's beat-up Chevy toward the estate, parked a mile out, and approached on foot through the woods. Guards with dogs patrolled the perimeter. "We're not getting in that way," Eli whispered. "I know another entrance," she replied, leading him toward a forgotten tunnel from her childhood. As they crawled through the damp corridor, neither knew that one of Camden's men had seen them. The tunnel led them beneath the estate grounds, and up into a narrow crawlspace behind the observatory's library. Nora whispered directions, her voice steady despite the thundering of her heart. Eli, covered in dirt and sweat, followed her lead without hesitation. They emerged behind a sliding shelf of antique astronomy books. The observatory smelled of old wood and dust, cloaked in darkness save for the dim red glow of security monitors lining the walls. Nora moved to a large brass telescope mounted on a dais. She twisted the eyepiece once, twice, then a third time. With a soft click, a panel in the floor slid open, revealing a hidden compartment. "There it is," she whispered. "My father's vault." Inside lay a single item, a sleek silver USB drive. Just as Nora reached for it, a shout echoed behind them. "Freeze!" 3 armed men had burst into the room. Camden's security team. Eli didn't hesitate. He grabbed Nora and dove behind the telescope base, dragging her down as bullets ripped through bookshelves and splintered furniture. "We have to run," he growled. "But the drive, I got it." He showed her the USB clenched in his fist. Together, they bolted through the same tunnel as alarms began to wail behind them. They made it back to the truck and sped off into the night, tires spinning on wet asphalt. Behind them, headlights appeared, black SUVs bearing down fast. "Drive faster," Nora shouted. "I'm in a 20-year-old pickup, not a Ferrari." Bullets sparked off the bumper as Eli swerved through narrow alleys and overgrown paths only a local would know. One of the SUVs clipped a tree and crashed in flames behind them. The others fell back, but Eli knew it was only a matter of time before Camden found them again. They reached the garage, breathless, shaking. Nora clutched the drive. "We need to see what's on this tonight," Eli nodded grimly. "Let's find out what's worth killing for." Eli set up his old laptop and plugged in the drive. Dozens of encrypted files appeared. Audio recordings, email threads, financial ledgers. Nora's eyes widened. This is everything. Illegal arms contracts, bribes, even recordings of Camden threatening our father. He didn't just take over the company, he orchestrated Dad's death. Eli sat back, stunned. "You need to go to the police." "No, Camden owns half the department. We have to go bigger, public, internet, news." The weight of her family's corruption settled on her shoulders like lead, but her resolve burned stronger than fear. "I won't run anymore," she said. "I'm ending this." The night wore on. Eli made coffee while Nora sifted through files. At 3 a.m. they paused. Exhausted and wired, they sat across from each other in silence. "I've never had someone risk everything for me," she said. Eli shrugged. "You're not just some heiress, you're a survivor." She smiled and reached out, brushing a hand against his. The moment lingered, then their fingers intertwined. Neither spoke, but something passed between them, an unspoken vow. They were in this together. They uploaded the files to multiple news outlets using burner accounts. Within hours, it was everywhere. Headlines exploded. Billionaire heir exposed in massive corporate conspiracy. Missing heiress resurfaces with shocking evidence. Camden Winthrop denied everything, but the recordings were undeniable. Protesters gathered outside Winthrop Holdings. Federal agents began their investigation. Eli watched it all unfold from his couch. Nora sat beside him, knees drawn to her chest. For once she looked relieved. "You did it," he said. "We did it," she corrected. But it wasn't over yet. There was still one final confrontation to come. By morning, Camden Winthrop was a national headline, and a furious one. Nora's phone, long deactivated, suddenly lit up. It wasn't connected to any network. Yet a single message appeared. "You think you're safe with him? You're not. I'm coming." She dropped the phone. "He's tracking us." Eli grabbed his gear. "Then we move." Now, they packed quickly, taking only essentials: the USB drive, some cash, Eli's laptop. They left Crescent Hollow behind in the truck, tires screeching against gravel. As they pulled away, a black sedan rolled down the street toward Eli's garage. They watched from a distance as two men in suits broke into the shop and began tearing it apart. "That was my home," Eli whispered. Nora reached over and gripped his hand. "It still is, just not there." Nora guided Eli toward a lakeside cabin she remembered from her childhood, one of her father's old fishing retreats, hidden deep in Pinehaven National Forest. They reached it by dusk, parking the truck behind some trees. The cabin, though dusty, was intact. They spent the evening cleaning, boarding windows, and checking locks. Eli set up a perimeter with tripwire and tin cans, makeshift alarms. Nora cooked dinner from a survival kit. They ate in silence side by side at the creaky kitchen table. "I used to come here with my dad," she said. "Before everything changed. He was different back then. Funny, warm." "What happened?" Eli asked. "He got scared. Of Camden. Of losing everything. And in the end, he did." Eli nodded, understanding loss far too well. But here, in the quiet, they found something neither expected: peace. While cleaning out the cabin's attic, Eli found a small metal case. Inside, photos, documents, and, surprisingly, a set of surveillance tapes. They watched the grainy videos on Eli's laptop. The footage showed Camden speaking with foreign investors, discussing off-the-books weapon deals, laundering money through charitable fronts, and even references to bribing federal officials. "Your father knew everything," Eli said. "He was building a case." Nora blinked back tears. "And he died for it." They decided to upload this new evidence, more damning than anything before, to secure public support and federal intervention. But they didn't realize Camden was already closing in. That night, someone knocked at the cabin door. Eli peeked out. His childhood friend Marcus stood there, soaked and panting. "Eli, it's me. I saw the news. I had to help." Eli let him in cautiously. Marcus was a longtime friend, a former Marine who now worked private security. For a few hours, things felt safe. Marcus helped fortify the cabin and even offered to bring supplies from the nearest town. But Eli grew suspicious when he caught Marcus texting near the woods. He checked the phone when Marcus wasn't looking and found a thread of messages. Confirmed, she's here, ready for pickup. Eli's stomach dropped. Marcus had betrayed them. Eli didn't waste time. He woke Nora quietly and handed her a bag. We're leaving. Now? What? Why? Marcus isn't here to help. They snuck out the back and ran through the forest, moonlight casting long shadows. Behind them, vehicles rolled up to the cabin. Men with guns stormed in, finding it empty. Camden's voice echoed through the trees. Lenora, I know you're out here. They kept running, breath ragged, dodging branches and muddy slopes. A bullet cracked a tree near Nora's head. They dove into a ravine, hiding beneath an old wooden footbridge. Heartbeats thundered in the silence above. Then the footsteps passed. They survived, but barely. By sunrise, Eli and Nora were miles away from the cabin, muddy and exhausted. They found shelter in an old ranger station, abandoned years ago and overgrown with ivy. Inside, they set up a makeshift base. Nora sat on the floor with the last batch of evidence. Audio clips and a video journal from her father. In the video, her father looked directly at the camera. If anything happens to me, it was Camden. He's not just dangerous, he's a threat to this country. And if Lenora sees this, baby girl, run. But if you're brave enough, fight. Tears spilled silently down Nora's cheeks. Eli wrapped his arm around her, and for a long time they said nothing. Then she stood. I won't run anymore, I need to face him. Nora and Eli contacted the most trusted journalist on the East Coast, Maya Delgado, a fierce truth seeker with a reputation for exposing elite corruption. Maya agreed to a live broadcast interview, no editing, no delay. They set the meeting in a public park downtown beneath a monument Nora's father once funded. It would be risky. Camden would undoubtedly come. But that was part of the plan. Eli stayed in the shadows with a camera drone ready. Hidden microphones recorded everything. Nora, dressed in a simple gray coat, stepped into the light. Maya began the interview, Live to Millions. Nora revealed everything, the embezzlement, the false imprisonment, the threats, the murders. Then she turned to the camera. And Camden Winthrop, if you're watching, I'm not hiding anymore. I'm ready to speak in court. Within minutes, Camden arrived. Helicopters above, news vans, crowds forming. He marched through them like a storm in a suit. You little parasite, he hissed. I should have finished you when I had the chance. Nora held her ground. Go ahead, everyone's watching now. Federal agents stepped in. Camden Winthrop, you're under arrest. The crowd erupted. Justice finally had found its mark. In the days following Camden's arrest, media outlets flooded Nora with interview requests, speaking engagements, and even offers to write a memoir. She turned them all down. Instead, she used a portion of her inheritance, now legally restored, to open a foundation called Hollow Roots, dedicated to survivors of abuse, injustice, and displacement. Eli helped her design the building himself. He repaired walls, rewired lights, and poured concrete by hand. They worked side by side, often until midnight, laughing and leaning into the simple rhythm of healing, not through headlines, but through human hands. One evening, after finishing the final room at Hollow Roots, Nora found Eli on the roof, watching the stars. Thinking about leaving again, she teased gently. He smiled. Thought about it. The world's big, could do a lot with a fresh start. She stepped closer. So could I, but I'd rather start again with you. He turned, heart in his throat. You serious? I never knew what real love was, she said, taking his hand. Not until you pulled me out of the rain and gave me something to believe in again. He kissed her beneath the starlight. No audience, no danger, just two people who chose each other when the world fell apart. Months passed. The garage Eli once called home had been rebuilt, only now it was part auto shop, part community center. Nora ran free classes on financial literacy. Eli taught kids to change tires and rebuild engines. Crescent Hollow was no longer forgotten. It had become a place of second chances. On the 1-year anniversary of her escape, rain fell gently over the streets. But this time, Nora stood in it, smiling, no longer chained, no longer hiding. Eli joined her with a cup of coffee and a smirk. Guess some storms bring more than thunder, she grinned. Yeah, sometimes they bring the person who saves your life together. They walked inside, closing the door to the past, and opening one to a future they built themselves. If you were moved by this story of love, courage, and redemption, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful tales like this. Your support keeps the stories alive.